Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle.morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
And today we have some guests from Heritage Painting. We have Jason and Emily, and I was going to pronounce last names, but I thought I nailed your last name. We have to go into this. I have always, that's a complicated last name, but I think I nail it. And, I don't.
Kyle, you destroyed it. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's Hummerkaus.
Okay.
And this is Emily King.
No, yours is way easier. Why didn't I lead with that? I have Emily King and Jason. Anyways, so we wanted to have you guys on to discuss painting and trends and color of the year and what that means. And one of the other things I'd like to talk about is, I think that really gets overlooked is finish. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What finish goes on what part, baseboards versus walls and everything like that. I am super embarrassed to say, I built my house 10 years ago in April, and I still have agreeable gray. That is contractor grade. I do have one bathroom that has peel and stick wallpaper. Which
Well,
we're going to
you know what
discuss
happened
that
to your
also.
office about peel and stick?
Yeah, so peel and stick, I think everybody thinks it's it won't cause as much of a headache and all this other stuff.
Damage.
When it was pulled off, it just toasted the wall. I mean, it pulled off so much paint off the wall, which scares me because I have an entire bathroom wrapped in it right now. And then...
And a lot of people do their kids like that, right? They've got the little peel and stick animals or whatever, thinking that's just going to be easy to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the worst ones I see are the on the ceiling. And I'm like, crap, we have to ceiling now. But anyway, so... that I have another bathroom that is painted an accent color and all of that stuff, but the rest of my house isn't. And my wife and I have discussed it a lot. But part of the problem is she likes the paint, even though we haven't, so we won't get into that. But I have a 20-foot tall vaulted living room, and I'm like, hey, this is complicated. We need scaffolding in here. And you guys get called in for all of that stuff. And I just wanted to kind of get into that. I think the big thing that we want to talk about first was color of the year, right? And so what does that mean? Is it really a thing? Is it voted on? Is it like a secret ballot, or is it just designers who think something is a trend? And the thing that I always find the most interesting about it is the color of the year tends to be
Ugly.
That's aggressive. I was going to say a bold color.
That's always bold, but when the color of the year came out, we posted.
Because I like the green. We were just talking about that. What was the forest green?
But see, it takes a while to, I think, catch on. So when it hits in 2025, it might catch on in 2027. But I think
Evergreen fog.
Yeah,
Evergreen fog was last year's. Yeah.
I don't know if you
you can see that from 10 feet away.
He's green.
I think it was 2 years ago.
And I love this. I'm getting ready to do my bathroom you're getting ready to do my bathroom like this.
It's good for an office,
too. This is Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah, we're not doing that for Sherwin-Williams, but anyway.
No, but
they seem to set the trends the most. But we put it up on Facebook, the color of the year show, when they came out of their color. And it was a lot of negative comments. It was just, it's like an orange or something like that, burnt orange. So nobody liked it. So that green one came around, 3 years ago. It's finally catching on, maybe. Does it take a while for people to say the color of the year is probably 3 years from now?
Yeah, well, let me start with this. Each manufacturer of paint has kind of their motif, their approach. How do they like to think about colors? And so from my standpoint, and we're very small in the world of paint, we're very small even though we're a nice sized company, right? But Sherwin-Williams does a really nice job in their marketing to get stuff to designers, and they really think about that. So they have lots of different palettes. They have this main palette, and then they'll have a designer palette. Then they have just all these different palettes that you can get books and stuff. Now, when I think about PPG and who we use, how we use them, I don't get this designer feel. They're great colors. Don't want to take anything away from that. I just don't know. It feels as if they're more contractor based and that kind of stuff. The most designer driven manufacturer is a Benjamin Moore product. So those are the three that we have in our kind of neck of the woods, central Indiana here, right? So Benjamin Moore, they really brag about you can't match our color.
But can't you? You can, can't you?
You can, but there's some, so when it comes to like the pastels, it's very hard to match. So if there's ever been a client that's wanted that, what I do, like if we quoted Sherwin-Williams or something, I call the store, they have it, they usually have most colors in their system. But they shoot the color, I have them do a small drawdown, and then I'm comparing it to the actual color swatch. And then I get that confirmed from the client for approval. But yeah, most of the pastels are very hard. Whites are very hard to match.
Really?
I always thought you could just go to Sherwin-Williams and say, hey, I got this over at Lowe's, can you just match it? And they've almost always said, yep.
You can.
You can.
And they'll say that, but the reality of it is and some people have the real ability to see color different than other people.
It might be a slight difference.
It's just a gift. And so, and I think Emily's got it, I've got it. My sons don't have it, they're color deficient, but it's
My
like,
son Jeremy's colorblind, he can't see any color. So.
but you can see when you just hold it right at the right angle or whatever it is, it's not 100%. And they'll tell you, oh yeah, it's good. And then some clients who are very sensitive about that thing really are about the color, they'll catch you.
Yeah.
So I've become, I guess, a Sherwin-Williams person, so that's why if I find the color at Lowe's, I want to go get it. But
Yeah.
is it
I do
okay to just go to
Sherwin-Williams, too.
Lowe's and get the paint, or are there grades, like, would you, I don't want to put anybody down, but
No.
is it different?
Yeah.
Like,
So let me just talk about that real quick. The Sherwin-Williams, in the box store, they have their products at Lowe's, right? And so they'll have,
yes.
if I go to the corporate store, Sherwin-Williams corporate store, I might buy Emerald, which is their top tier, or Duration,
Yeah.
or go to a corporate store, Sherwin-Williams corporate store. They're going to be different products, different labels, and the stuff you're going to buy at Lowe's that has a Sherwin-Williams label on it is really made for a DIY person.
Yeah.
And so they're not, you might say, well, this is $50 for me to buy this here, but at a corporate store, it might be less, and it's going to be under a different label.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I mean, there's a markup because it's exchanged, but you also have more traffic driven into a Lowe's or a Home Depot. So for Sherwin-Williams, it makes sense. It's just like me getting my product out there, and then obviously not everybody goes to a Sherwin-Williams. And prior to me, like I got a Sherwin-Williams corporate account and all that stuff, I didn't realize how accessible a Sherwin-Williams store is. And I don't think unless you're a painter or do as much crap as I do,
Right.
that you would know that. And it's easier, Lowe's is more visible, it's easier to get in, and you're like, oh, I need more than paint, right? My first impression of Sherwin-Williams before I was in the industry was cost and expensive. Like, that was my perception of it. Like, you talk about Benjamin Moore, it's like I'm like, is it better or is it just more expensive? You know, and like, it just depends on what you're trying to do, I guess, if that makes sense. But we have the little thing where you can like see what the color is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also going to be like machine dependent, all this other stuff. Like there will be a slight difference, and you just do the best you can and paint the freaking wall.
Yeah.
Don't do the little touch ups, like paint a wall, call it a day.
All of those things play into it, and so you've got a different technician who's doing the tinting. You have a different machine who's doing the tinting. A good painter then is going to take that product back, and they're going to what you call batch. So right, you're making cookies and you have different batches.
Yeah.
Well, this batch has more chocolate chips in it than this batch does, right? And so you'll mix all of the cans together, so then you have something that's consistent, and then you just paint the whole wall.
But that's why you use a
I've
professional.
never done
Yeah.
that. Not that I
Yeah.
like painting anymore, but
I hate painting.
today,
That's
I
the
would-
one thing
I love it that you guys hate painting. I love
I
it.
know. I'm
So
sure
here's
you want,
why.
you want everybody to hate painting.
Here's why.
It hurts my neck. I'm doing this.
Yes,
My
it's a
neck
pain
is
in the
really
neck.
bad cramp.
So for me, it's
You just need Heritage to buy you a massage,
that works.
and then we'll do your painting.
We could do that.
You know
as
what
marketing.
happens is though, I call you after if I do try, and like you're in there
And
like,
then you
oh,
come
this is gonna
fix it.
take 3 coats because of what you just did
Yeah.
instead of 1.
I'm an idiot, and so like I never properly ventilate, and so like the next day I just have a migraine.
You're high.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, how is it going to get out? You know. So that and I don't. It's just
From
time
one
suck
day.
for me. Yeah.
Well, I
So,
thought the smell went away.
oh,
It
does?
will after it's dry,
Yeah.
but while you're
You
doing
usually
it,
smell as soon as you open the can, but isn't that gone? They've taken all that.
No. You just acclimate.
so in an oil base, in the state of Indiana, you can only buy oil-based paint in gallons. So you can't, I'm sorry, back up. In the state of Indiana, the EPA has taken away where your finished product can't be oil-based. So in 2008, I would spray the trim in a new house with an oil-based trim paint. Beautiful, loved it. Milky, silky smooth, beautiful. Now you can't get any finish top coat products that are an oil base. You can buy primers all day long, but then you want to put over top of that something that's a water base, and that's going to seal. So you're sealing and sealing. So the oil base is many times to seal like a stain conversion if you have stained wood or whatever. So you're sealing that stain from bleeding through, and then when you put that latex on top of that oil, it's sealing those VOCs, and some of that. So your latex paints don't have as high of VOCs.
But it still has it. Especially when you're not opening the windows and you're in a small room, for me, I'm just really busy, and painting done correctly, unless you're a professional, it's time consuming. It just is. And I have like OCD with that stuff. I didn't realize how much of an art painting is, because I do know how to paint. I know how to hold a paintbrush, like I hold it like a pencil, like I know how to edge without taping, all of that stuff. But that's time consuming because I don't do it every single day. So yes, I can do it, but it's going to take me longer. And then I had a team member, God bless his soul, like 6 years ago, I was like, hey, we got to paint this, so outside of a garage, right, like the wood trim, right, that you would see right before the garage door itself. I was like, hey, you paint that side, I'm going to paint this side. And he was painting it like a cartoon character, just like up and down. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I didn't realize not everybody knows how to paint, right? And it actually is kind of a dying art. Because it's the same as, plaster. Plaster is a dying art. I have really one
true plaster work.
True plaster work.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And actually being a really good painter who can edge and be fast and all of that stuff, it's a dying art.
Well, we also know we can walk into a house and know the homeowner who did the painting.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
For sure.
And they want to save money, and I'm like, you just ruined the price of your house. And you see the splatters all over the place. And I mean, that's just not.
Or the roller marks on the ceiling.
Yeah, or they just don't, like you said, they don't feather it or whatever, as you call it, but they don't, you can see the red of what they covered.
The thing that always baffles me is the sprayer, because I have painted enough. Like at one point, 2 houses ago, the very first house we ever bought, I bought like a sprayer from Lowe's or Home Depot or something. And I was like, I can spray. This can't be complicated. You put it in here, you do this, you pour it into the little attachment. And it was the best coat of paint I've ever applied in my life. And then I had to buy new carpet. because like I didn't understand. I'm like, how do you do this? Like I even put plastic down, and like the carpet was just toast, like just covered in paint. And I was like, but look at the wall, like there's no seams. It looks like it was buttered on. It's so amazing.
And 85% of what a painter does is prep work.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's the
could be
tedious
higher.
part to me,
It is.
taping and anything like that. But I know when I texted you this weekend, when I walk into a house and my clients are like, oh, I can't. It is amazing that people cannot buy a house because of the color of paint on the house, on the walls. And I'm like, it just needs to be painted. But, oh, that's going to be so
People don't.
Such a weight.
Well,
they
people
just think
either.
it's going to be expensive, and they don't want to do it. So I always text you, and I said, we've got 3,600 square feet. And you can, right there, agents, tell you exactly to tell my client, this house is cool. And you gave me like a quote of like, $4,000 to $5,000 for this house. And they were thinking 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
It's like carpet.
including the trim.
People think it's either way more expensive or cheaper than what it really is, because people aren't used to doing it, because, to paint a kitchen, like that's not cheap, because what people don't understand it, and you and I go, and all of us, I go into houses all the time that are flipped, or the homeowner did it, or whatever it is, and they just paint the cabinets. And I have actually painted cabinets before and like done it the correct way, and you have to sand everything, and you have to sand it directionally with the grain, which is hard because every side of the cabinet has a different direction. And you have to do it by hand, and it's insanely labor intensive, and that's where the cost comes in, is the labor.
Yeah.
And every time I go into a house, I can see where somebody didn't properly prep the cabinets and their rings or their fingernails
Yeah.
took off the paint
Yeah.
right by
Yeah.
the knobs or pulls or
Well,
whatever it
you
is.
walk into a house that they did their own cabinets, you've destroyed the cabinets.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not as easily to go back and even fix that, because you've got drips or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, you're starting all over plus some extra.
Although my sister-in-law, real quick, my sister-in-law, like this is a long time ago, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, God bless his soul, they, after we painted, they painted, and it was just it's a condo off of Hague, and they spray painted it.
Mm.
And it actually looked really good. I was blown away by it. I was like, that actually, super not what you should do. But
Not everybody is a painter, right? And in today's world, in 15 years ago, I remember really wrestling with everybody thinks they're a painter.
Yeah.
Or it's easy,
Or it's,
why would I
can
pay
do
you that, because I can do it, and it's free labor.
In the same, right now, in the digital age we live in, everybody owns a phone that has a camera.
Yeah,
Or everybody could go buy a camera, and so everybody thinks they're a photographer, right? So it's kind of the same thing that the professionals have to fight against. Like, they have to figure that out. But
we deal with it with real estate.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're a real estate agent. You know?
yeah,
Or can't be.
yeah. So the hardest thing I think for a client to do is not write the check to pay the bill for painting. The hardest thing for them to do is to pick a color.
Yeah.
It is. And so Emily,
I was gonna say, Emily, is that what you come in and do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, because it's hard.
Mhm.
There's like 14 shades of blue
Yeah, I think
on the one card, and then you go to the next card.
my very first, like when I started doing this, so I think this year will be 3 years that I've been actually doing the color consulting for the company. But my very first consult with a client was a realtor, and she had spent maybe 2 months stressed. Like, literally, she told me that she like was losing sleep over it and everything. She needed help, and I was there, I think, for an hour, and we had this decisions made like by the time I left. And so she was like, I mean, that was just very validating for me, because that was my very first appointment.
That's why we need professionals.
Right, but tell me the
Professionals
process
matter.
that you did, because I currently have, just recently went to get, because I told you we're doing wallpaper, which is a whole other discussion. I went and got all the little squares, and there's like 9 paint swatches up on the wall for me to go by and look at all the time, and every once in a while I'll pull one off and throw it away. Then I go back and I'm like, get it out of the trash. I'm like, no, maybe not. And I put it back, and I have to do it at night, and I have to do it during the day. And you walked in and did it in an hour. I'm sorry, I've been doing this for 2 months.
Mhm.
And I still don't have the blue. I went back and started all over this weekend.
so what is your process, Emily?
Yeah, what do you do?
I think it's just, I mean, because I had a client that had sent me just a picture through a phone of wallpaper, and then I had it side by side, and this was just all on my computer screen, but I had it side by side, and then I was kind of going through trying to research colors that could be close, and then just through that, it ended up being close once it got painted, but nothing was ever actually seen in person. But I think I'm pretty gifted when it comes to colors of seeing the undertones that not a lot of people see. So,
Well, what do you mean? I'm on Pinterest, man, and I really know what colors are like. That's what you deal with, though, right? Like I do this every day
Yeah,
for a living,
this is literally
not for 5 minutes
Yeah.
on my phone at night while
Yeah.
I'm pooping or something. You know, you're like, what do we do? But everybody becomes an expert all of a sudden, you know. That's
It's
really
so personal. It
Yeah.
really is very personal. And honestly, Emily and I've done this. Many times you become a marriage counselor.
Well, that's real estate.
Yeah.
That's real estate too. But it's like, you know, you bring in a third party who just helps kind of solve that. When my wife, during the middle of COVID, we were painting the exterior of our house, or just after COVID, we're painting the exterior of our house, and there was a real shortage. And I love my wife dearly.
Oh, I know where this is going. When
She's
you read it
really
like
hard
that.
to pick colors for. We had 12 reds on the house. I went and bought 12 quart cans, and quarts were not easy to get. They were charging you like full, you know. I'm just like,
That's a whole nother conversation
but
about why or why not.
it becomes personal. And so Emily, for the company, and I just want to say right now, as a little plug for Heritage, there's companies that will say, hey, thanks for hiring us. go figure out your color and come back and tell me what your color is. We understand that the need for this is a pain point for clients. Like, in order to keep them going down the road of getting this done. So then a client leaves, and then what are they going to go do? They go spend a couple $100 to hire a designer?
They end up in paralysis by analysis,
Yes.
and they do nothing.
Yes.
Well, the thing too is, like, if you do that, like what you just said, tell me, go pick it and hand it to you, at least you had some conversation with somebody who knows what she's doing to pick a color. I come in and you've done 2 walls, and I'm like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that at all. And you turn around, look at me and go, well, you chose it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I gave up, and I wanted to
Yeah.
keep the other way, and I just chose this one because
Yeah.
I was over it.
I was done. And then you don't like it, so you gotta start all over, so you lose money.
and I love our process. So we first of all, we start with just giving, right, and serving them and helping them and consulting them. But then after we've really come to a head on that, then we give them, they do a sign off that they're approving that, right? And that's a space that's, we've had people come back and they understand that. And it's accountability on our part, it's accountability on their part, and it's accountability is a core value of ours, as a team. And so, we want
So you charge for her to come in when you're going out, is there a charge for that, to do the color
So each
consultation?
any project that's over 2,500, it's free.
Oh, nice.
But any hour, so it's free for an hour.
Mhm.
Any hour after that, we charge $100.
That's well worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, and not to disregard your question earlier, I don't know how to explain the process because it's just, I really do feel gifted. That
Well,
I
it's like asking Kobe Bryant. It's like, hey, how do you hit so many threes? Like, I shoot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you don't know how you do it, but
yeah,
you do
that's
it.
because you're good.
So that would be just, this is off the wall, but so how did you guys get together that you're looking around saying, I wanna help people choose?
I want to tell the story.
Yeah.
So,
And how was this listed on Indeed? I'm curious.
I'm just saying, like, how
you can
did-
tell how did you find us?
Or how did she find out she had this talent to get?
Well, that's, I
Yeah,
want
the whole
to
thing.
highlight that,
Yeah.
but how did you find us?
On Indeed is how. But when I found you, when I started with Heritage, I was a painter.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
And I remember very distinctly in the interview process, she says to us, I want to be in the field using my gift. So she has or her degree, so she has an interior design degree. And so I'm like, okay, in the field, well, that's a painter, and that's great. And so we went down that road, and we learned a lot. And I think through that discovery, we said, okay, she's better, more of an asset here. And sometimes that discovery can be a rocky road or challenge, but we landed there. And so now, like, there's a large section of the process that Emily is dedicated to with some support, but fully dedicated to the whole, what we call the staging. So client, they buy from us or they commit to buying, and then Emily takes over from there and she processes the job with, collecting the deposit, but then collecting the colors. So those are two things. Clients come to say, hey, okay, before they even have a number, like, when can you start? And I'm like, you haven't even committed. So, you commit, we'll commit it. And I'll tell you, like, we know for the most part within a few days where we could put you at any given time of the year. And so, but you have to put skin in the game at some level and say, yeah, we're committing to you and the heritage process. And then, so Emily has, for 3 years, and she keeps growing and we keep seeing that. And that's a fun thing.
a lot.
But how did you find out you had the gift to see color?
I honestly don't know. I think it just happened. Because, when I went to school for interior design, after I graduated, I didn't actually see myself being a designer. I'm very hands-on, so I painted previous for family-owned companies, and so then when I started with them, I knew that I could do that. But I think one reason why it didn't work out is really just I'm very slow and I'm very a perfectionist.
Meticulous. Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that, but she was god-awful slow. It was so bad. I'm like, Emily, we got to go production. Let's go.
So I think, now being this, and when I first went into it, I was nervous. I don't do a very good job of meeting people, talking, stuff like that. But I think,
And showing your confidence
Yep.
that I know
So let's
what I'm
throw you on
doing.
a podcast.
which
So-
is fine.
So let me just speak into that for our team. One of our core values is grow. So we want to keep growing. And if you can't grow at Heritage, then you probably need to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I say that very openly to people. So Emily's graciously come on today to talk about this a little bit. And we've had people leave because we couldn't help them continue to grow. And I think that she has definitely been an incredible example of being willing to face the awkward. I say that all the time. You got to face the awkward and go after it, right? And so we've had other people who are like, hey, you'll see some of our people put out videos, and the first time they're doing the video, it's like, looking at it, and it's just really dry or really boring. Next thing you know, they're smiling. A year later, after they've done these videos, like selfie style videos about the project or whatever, so that's helping them become a better person at some level, and then stretching themselves. And so I've seen Emily do that, so that's been fun.
So do you help with the wallpaper picking out? I think you said you were able to match the paint with the wallpaper.
There's been sometimes, because we don't have, I don't ever have samples or anything to show clients, but researching, because I know Sherwin-Williams, they have a website that's strictly just for.
They have their books in their store.
Yeah,
I've done that since I was like 12.
Sure.
And, when you started talking wallpaper, matter of fact, I was just at Sherwin-Williams doing all the books. But then it makes me sad because we asked to take 3 out. And he's like, oh, we probably have 20 out. I'm like, well, what did I not see?
Mhm.
When are they all coming back? And how can I make sure? Because I just went through all of these and now I got to do it again. So picking out wallpaper from the age of 12 is tedious. Have you ever done it, Kyle?
No. I just say, yes, dear, it will look great. And then I acclimate.
Yeah, but
Putting
wallpaper-
wallpaper on is to get the seams correct. And,
And cut it straight.
it tickles me wrong. Like, I was looking at this peel and stick, and I was like, yeah, it's not lined up there correctly. My wife, we found out on our bathroom that there is a correct way to layer seam,
Mm-hmm.
and she did that backwards. And I never bring that up, but I always notice it.
You always see it when you're walking in
But
the door. Yeah.
so she's like, hey, I did the wallpaper, and I'm like, that's my biggest fear is I come home to a project being started or halfway done. I'm like, oh shit, right? So, but on that one, there was bubbles in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to take a syringe. It's kind of for anybody who knows clear bra or
And not
whatever.
a needle.
Right. Well, so yeah, you have to you have to put a little hole in it, right, and then pull the air out of it. And I learned that from my buddy Sean that did clear bra, right, and that's how they did it on which is 3M product for vehicles, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so and I was like, that actually works really good because otherwise you have to push it all the way to the freaking seam, which is a nightmare, right? And then it wants to
And you can rip it when
spread.
it's wet.
You can spread it. So anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's not as easy as people think, and it's very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell when people start to get frustrated because they're trying to line it up, and then the bottom sticks to the wall, and they're like, oh, really? And I'm just like, whatever, it's close enough. But a professional's not going to do that, right?
Right.
And so all of that stuff I just think is really interesting.
Can I speak about wallpaper real quick? And then I want you to tell the clients how they would go about, because I think we talked about Sherwin-Williams, but how they would go about finding those places. But one of the things, we hired a gentleman who has done commercial wallpaper for many years, and so you talked about a dying trade.
It is.
And,
Well, it went
Real
away.
wallpaper.
Real hanging
But it went
true
away.
wallpaper.
That's why,
Yeah.
I didn't know you could find people who did wallpaper anymore because it's
Right.
well, that's not been done for 10, 15 years.
So I could find, in my phone, I probably have 3, and they're in their 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud to say that we have now 5 technicians that have done that and have been through some processing of some training that we have in-house. And so, we're always looking for quality people, and then quality people who are like, hey, I feel like I could do this and learn that. And so, if there's somebody that wants to, is interested, we'd love to, interview you to see if that would be something you'd be, because we have those training opportunities. So, we're training lead-based paint removal, how to do that. We're training wallpaper hanging.
That's a whole nother
It's a whole other podcast. But
We need to bring back the velvet wallpaper.
where would would a
I
client
can't
go?
say I didn't have that. My mom's really good at the hanging the wallpaper, so I used to do it with her, and she was always really good, and it was kind of a fun project to do together.
It's a horrible project to take down.
Yeah,
The steamer.
yeah.
It's garbage.
Love it.
You
What?
love it? You gotta use a little score and then
I'm
you
the
use the
weird one
diff
that-
I
stuff,
don't use
dude.
the score.
Yeah, but the thing is
Really?
though, when it was the 80s or whatever, 90s, when you started to do that, there were 3 layers. Nobody
Mhm.
did that.
Or more.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my
would just
gosh.
keep going over the top of it.
Mhm.
And so you get to that and you're like, oh my God, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. But I love wallpaper. I always did, but I hated it when it was gone. You know, like I was one of those that's like, oh no. But we have buyers who walk in and they're like, oh, look at the wallpaper. And oh, I can't believe they still have the wallpaper up. And I'm like, I think that was just put up like yesterday, you know, like last year. Because
I think it's
it's
amazing
in and
as an
people
accent
don't
wall.
think it
Yep.
is. I love
Yes.
It's more
wallpaper.
like modernized too. It's not your kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
floral
Well, I can
patterns.
picture the one in my
Teacups.
kitchen with
Yeah.
little bitty apples, blue apples with the little red and little green leaves, and then a stripe of some sort. I can still see that.
Which is
God
stupid because
forbid
apples
today.
aren't even blue.
I
That
know.
doesn't even make
That
sense.
wallpaper is,
I think it's probably
it's an
blueberries
imaginary
and you
room when you
just
do wallpaper.
had issues as a kid.
But the wallpaper today, and I do remember this too, and I don't know if you guys do this, probably not, but you would be able to just take a picture and say, match this, draw this, like match my grandma's china,
Yep.
and that would be in the dining room, so that's a whole
That
nother
is,
art. I
that
don't know,
is
is that
there.
back?
You can do that.
Okay?
There's only a few people that we know. We're working with a commercial project where they were gonna work with a,
Mural.
is it,
I think it was like a mural.
yeah, the art class was gonna draw a mural, and then they were gonna turn that into a wallpaper that we
That's
were
really
doing.
cool. But you can't do it probably the way you're talking about. You have to do it as a special project. So if we can do all that, when do we get the Willy Wonka wallpaper where the schnozberries taste like schnozberries? Like, why isn't
You
that
want
a
scratch
thing?
and sniff?
Yeah, no, that, like, you don't remember Willy Wonka? Like, the
Yeah.
freaking, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Everybody calls it Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Where you could, I think it's Veruca Salt, like, was licking the wallpaper.
I know you have scratch and sniff, I don't know.
I
if you
forgot
know.
that.
Yeah, how do you know? Like, the schnozberries taste like
No, I
schnozberries.
don't remember all that
I
stuff.
forgot all
Oh,
that.
man.
It's funny.
Okay. Anyways, I'm in a rabbit hole. So where would you go to find, like, what an offering is for wallpaper? Because, like, you think paint is a headache to pick out? Try picking out freaking wallpaper, man.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, it layers the paint problem. Because you're like, now I need paint
Yeah.
that matches this wallpaper.
I'm doing it the other way around, what do you think? I've got the paint figuring out that, with my 9 swatches, I'm down to 8. So we have.
He's like, oh,
No, it's the other way around?
I think I
the
would,
other way around.
yeah.
Pick
I
the
gotta start
wallpaper
over
first,
again?
and then do the color.
No, you just need to have Emily come out.
I know, I
What
think.
do we
Just have her
do?
come out. I'll-
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So where do you go? Where do you go for this? Because my wife is, she just Googles it. She's like, hey, here's
Yeah.
nonstick wallpaper.
I think that, I mean, honestly, I think that would just be 100% where people, because even our clients that come in and want us to do wallpaper, they're picking it out.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been times where because I know Sherwin-Williams has a website specifically just wallpaper. And it has all different textures, textiles, patterns. So I know that for a fact is a thing, but outside of that, I think just Google.
There's a couple stores that I can think of here in Indy that have, you can go on site and like you used to do
It's right
that.
down here on Range Lake
Yeah.
Road, the Sherwin-Williams,
Yeah.
they do.
They have
There's
that
also
one.
a different quality
Yeah.
with wallpaper. Like some
Mhm.
wallpaper is actually pretty freaking expensive.
Oh, there
Oh,
were
yeah.
a few books I put back, I'm like, oh, I know that's
Yeah.
thick and.
We had a project that was, it was $300
Commercial
roll?
project that we did.
square foot.
A
Square foot.
Am I right?
I think it was close to
We
that,
didn't,
yeah.
we were, so we didn't, it wasn't, but, and they were wanting us to quote it, and yeah, that's a long story there, but, so yeah, finding those spaces. I would like to dig into some of the opportunities here. So one of the struggles that a client has is, how are you gonna pick a color off of this 1x1, right?
Right.
Or whatever that size is, swatch. And so Emily's brought, some swatches with her. This is and this is PPG, and Sherwood does the same thing. So we can order, if a client really needs more space, we can order,
Yes, those are awesome.
this is like 8x10 or something like that.
And it's PPG PPG Bop Porter.
okay,
Is that correct?
about, 8 by 10.
Is that correct?
8 by 10.
8 by 10.
8 or 9, 10 years ago, PPG bought Porter. It just got bought out this last year by another company, and and then there was all this mergers that literally happened in the last 2 months. So Blackstone bought part.
This last 2 months?
Yeah, just this last 2
Really?
months. So there'll be a lot of movement, and one of the Blackstone bought part of that company, and so what's going to end up happening? All the products are going to stay the same for now. They will eventually. I mean, history shows that they'll eventually change and kind of rebrand and whatever. But I believe their mission is to get more stores back. So right now in Indianapolis, I think there's 5 PPG stores, and so they're harder to get to. As you made reference to, there's 15 alone that I can think of, maybe more, that are like indie Sherwin-Williams stores.
Yeah.
Has one.
Oh, there's 2 in Westfield.
Fisher's, there's Greenwood.
Oh, you talk PPG. Yeah.
Yeah, Sherwin-Williams has done really well with creating storefronts
Yeah.
and visibility.
So yeah.
Which is really odd for a paint.
You can just
store.
order these and then,
So yeah, so speaking to that, Emily, what does the client do?
Yeah, so if they need, I mean, that's kind of how they start. Like, when I first call a client, I'm asking them kind of like, I guess, what they like, what they dislike, like, help me help you. Because I think if I show up just with that's a headache.
Yeah.
And so when I ask the question of, what do you like? What's kind of like your outcome? What color families are you wanting? And at least that's a starting point for me. And then I can have the bigger samples kind of ahead of time. So these binders, we have these at the office, and then I've started making my own personal ones that I can have on me.
Is that in here?
Yeah, so
you could also do this, with that whole booklet that you have right
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
So what you're referencing here,
You don't
for
bring
people who
this
are
whole,
listening.
you
No,
just have
I
your
don't
your top ones.
yes,
Yeah.
so there's like 7 of these at the office that has every single color from that.
Which is, this is
Oh,
a
wow.
3-ring binder that's like 7 by 11.
I'm
Right?
looking for the blues.
That's a bigger piece than your 1 by 1s.
Yep.
Because that's really hard
That's
to,
awesome. You have a lot of choices in
Mhm.
here though.
well, but it's a better version of that because that's overwhelming.
Yep.
And it's really hard for me to, like when I look at this 3-ring binder that's massive, right? Versus that, I can actually, it's a larger piece to visual. But for me personally, I struggle to visualize, like, hey, what does this color look like on this wall? Like I can't do it off of a 1 by 1.
Yep.
I just can't. No way.
What's the,
This I can do because I can also take it out of that
Yep.
and put it on the wall
Yep.
real quick, right? And so I think for those listening, like she has this 3-ring binder that has like your preferred color palettes, I guess, so to speak, versus this.
and then you have
1
this
by 1
one.
color
What's
swatch.
the difference between this one?
This
So
is
this is Sherwin-Williams, but this one is the one I personally made, and it's just like beige and grayish colors. So just kind of like
beige and
neutrals.
gray. Oh my goodness, there's
And-
so many of them and they all look different. Whites as well.
And these are just more kind of like, I guess, most common over the years that I've been doing it that have been chosen. And like for me, like I don't really go off of trends. I don't study them. It's more of like, what do you like? What fits your space? Because something I think that's trendy that a client likes and that fits their house, but 2 years from now, it's not going to be the trend anymore, but they still love it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's.
Because here's the thing, regardless of what this, no offense, stupid color of the year is, right?
Yeah, what was the color of your, you started to show us.
Let me tell you what it was in 08. Frickin' red, dude. And then the
Oh, I
year
had a
before
red
that, it was
living room.
orange. And
I
the year
loved
before
it.
that, it was yellow. Like, no matter what, it's gonna age out.
Yeah.
Like, my house back in 08,
Yeah.
we had an orange kitchen, and then that was yellow from prior to that, and then we had a red dining room, and here's the stupidest thing I've ever dealt with paint.
We were doing the same thing at the same time. I had all those colors too.
So, because that's what was in.
the orange
Yeah.
color.
It was. There was paint with frickin' sand in it for texture.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what that's like, the frickin'
awful.
sand, dude.
Awful.
Have you
Oh,
ever
my
done grass wallpaper?
Oh, we have. I've removed it. It's
Spring
awful.
at a time.
It's awful.
Oh my gosh, it's
What?
horrible.
Oh my gosh. Is the sand paint still a thing?
For gripping, but and you have texture. People in a production home, a lot of times they'll texture the walls so they don't show as much imperfections with the framing or with the drywall.
Oh, dude, I did one last year or 2 years ago, like the house that I had to put a lot into to help. Dude, it was textured with sand. It's the first time I'd seen it since my house, and it had freaking glitter in it. glitter in the paint, dude. And I was like, hey, painter, match this. He's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, we do some of the dumbest stuff, and then we're like, and then like,
We're not faux painting, are we, yet?
No, we're not throwing much at all.
The glitter thing though is a legit thing. When I was first started painting, when I was working with Troy,
Mhm.
we actually were at a house and they wanted glitter, so we went and bought the glitter, put it in the paint, stirred it.
was it
Did you like it?
was it in a basement?
No, it was actually in the
I was
living
like, if
room.
if you did the house that I'm gonna stab you.
Did you like it when it was done?
I mean, I'm not a glitter person, so no, but like that's what the client liked, and I mean,
So
it
for
looked nice. But
The
it
house
looked
I did,
different.
it was like a purple, like a purple gray in a basement. That was also kind of a movie room, and the glitter added an accent. And it was barely noticeable unless you looked, and it was kind of neat, but I can't imagine the process to do it. Because like, how do you evenly distribute glitter on the wall? Like, good luck, you know? Like, anyways, I just...
Taking that off can't be easy, or painting over it, whatever it would be,
Yeah.
so.
But like, to your point, do what you like. Like, don't follow the trends, because the trends will change. That's the nature of a freaking trend in the first place. Live in a house that you want. My friend, my team member who's buying a house, he got some help from some friends, and they're like, hey, let's paint this house. It's in Broad Ripple. And they're like, ooh, you know what's in right now is color wash, I think is what it's called. And I was like, I went in and I was like,
Color drenching.
yeah, I'm like, why is the ceiling green? You know, I'm like, it's an in thing. And I was like, all right, man, but like, it's going to end up painted white. It's at some point, because it just baffles me. Like, I would paint, I've seen it in an office, right? Where like the whole office is black, or the whole office is that green, right? Or whatever it means. Like, that looks really good, but like in your primary living areas, like, what are we doing right now?
Right.
But it's a trend, right? Like, color wash.
Well, when we talk about getting your listings ready, painting is one of the biggest things to do to get your house ready. And so, like I said with you, it's not that expensive overall when you're gonna take a hit on the sale of your house by maybe $10,000 or $15,000 to have it done. And we were talking before you started, and I know you have some pictures here, but having the trim that is all dark wood in a house dates it so much, and just painting it white, I seriously think could get you $10,000 more, depending on the price range of the house.
Yeah.
But people are all about, don't paint wood. So do you get a lot of kickback on that? We can't paint wood?
It's all wood, for the record, people.
Drywall's not, is it?
Drywall isn't, but all trim is, you know what I mean? Like, all the white trim that you see, it's wood, even if it's MDF.
Yeah.
That is,
It's a form of wood.
it's a form of wood,
Do you
yeah.
get kickback on that, or not?
I mean,
Because cabinets?
maybe mostly with cabinets.
It's a
I'd say.
generational thing.
Yeah.
I think it's generational, and it's location sometimes dependent. Like, if you get, like, I've been in areas where they're more woodsy and they want that, you know.
Yeah.
Like a custom neighborhood in Zionsville,
Maybe,
something like that.
Or like a log cabin, we don't want to paint
Or
it
like a
yet.
darker wood. I think, because I think when it comes to the wood that's more like yellow or orange, I think
Yeah,
that's
we
where
gotta go to
it
that.
tends to look
That's-
more dated. But I
that's
think
it.
if it's more of like a darker brown, like an espresso, I think leaving that
It looks
could
classic.
be, yeah.
But even the
Timeless.
cherry wood to me it looks old, and that's expensive. Those were expensive.
They were
cabinets.
expensive.
You gotta go.
I have a house that I live in, and it's built in 1904, and it has quarter sawn oak in it that they took out meticulously, took it out, and it's like 12 inches tall, 3 pieces. And so somebody gutted it before we bought it, and we bought it like dirt cheap, right? So we put it back, and I knew the whole community, like, you're gonna do what? You're gonna paint that quarter sawn oak? That's incredible. That's awful. Who's paying the mortgage?
But can I say, I want to back out what I just said.
Yeah.
Those historic homes.
Yeah.
I can't touch that wood.
Yeah.
The beautiful old, stairwells and the trim and everything. No, please don't paint that.
We did. We painted it, and it looks incredible. And the wood that we had was multiple, ages and water, because it had been stored in a garage. So it wasn't. It was super dry, just because it's 120 years old. But it's pretty good now.
Yes.
All right, so I have a question for the listener, like, general rule of thumb. What watt
Mm.
location, right? Because it's not just picking a color. It's like, what finish do you want? Do you want satin? Do you want eggshell? What do you want? Do you want semi-gloss? Do you want high gloss? What do you want? Like, is it a high traffic area? What goes on the baseboards? What goes on the walls? I mean, everything that is, I would say construction is generally flat or eggshell. Wouldn't you agree for the most part?
Mhm.
Which scratches so easy.
It does. But also, finish can make it easier or harder to match for
Mhm.
patches as well, right? So, what do you guys use as a general rule of thumb for finish?
I think when it comes to walls doing, well, depending on what manufacturer, but with Sherwin-Williams doing a matte finish, PPG doing eggshell. I think the only time of maybe recommending satin, and I don't know if you want to talk into that, but like if you have kids or pets, because I think just having that added layer for washability, but
For like baseboards or walls also?
for walls,
Okay.
I mean semi-gloss, I think
Yeah.
typically.
So let's start at the baseboard. I think 99% of people put semi-gloss on trim.
Yeah.
Casing, baseboard.
Because you can wipe it.
Ceilings in our area are flat white, or typically flat finish, right? Not shiny. And so there are spaces in different locations that maybe we would do that. Like for instance, a closet, we recommend to put a semi-gloss, whatever you're going to paint the trim with, you paint the walls with and the ceiling with. You never want to paint a closet ever again, and you want it to be bright, and you want it to be scuff resistant. So putting a semi-gloss on the walls and on the ceiling and on the trim makes sense, and it's bright. You know, some closets have lights, some closets don't, and so that's my recommendation in there. On the walls, you're right, is that if you have a flat finish, you can touch it up easier. A lot of builders are moving to a product that is like a matte, M-A-T-T-E, right? So
Yeah.
a matte sheen. The higher your quality of product paint, the more scrubbable it is. So it has a better build and the more wash. So scrubbability is different than washability. And so scrubbability, if you have a high quality, you're going to have a scrubbability. You might have a lower product that's just like gently washing it, right?
Especially when you're using, if it's a water-based paint, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, that messes up the paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you use a dry eraser or a magic eraser
No,
on
never
a wall,
use it.
Oh, so you say never
Never use it. You can use it maybe on
on
the trim.
baseboards?
On the trim?
You're going to kill this. You're going to scuff it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to burnish it.
What's it for then?
Your trash? No, your shoes.
I mean, I told clients, I said, yeah, I've used it, but I think over time, like the chemical that's actually in that,
It eats
takes
it
the
away.
finish off
Yeah.
and the paint.
Yeah, I've seen it look bad. I was just curious, why did they make this and
Yeah.
say that's what
I
it's
mean-
for?
I mean, it
It's
does
just-
work.
Because it's cheaper than repainting a wall.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's true.
I just had a client, they're getting ready to list their home, and they went through with the magic eraser. I haven't seen it yet, but they went through and they told me they did that, so I'm kind of curious what it would be looking like when I get there in a couple of days. because
Kitchen
I don't
cabinets.
want it to be all stuck
Kitchen
up.
cabinets.
Kitchen cabinets, I think that most manufacturers have it be like a satin finish. So I think that's a good middle ground for kitchen cabinets. Some people, but now it's up to the person, right? What do you
Personal
like?
preference.
If you have somebody that comes from down south, that you walk onto their front porch is a wooden porch with a wooden ceiling. They might have a high gloss, on the floor and on the ceiling. And that's what if you can just envision yourself sitting on a porch, big porch, and it's beautiful 80-degree day outside, you got this, that's what they like. That's not true here, right? Exterior, we will 99.9% of the time say we recommend a satin finish. So here we are at this point in the equator in Indiana. You go north to Minnesota, you have less sun, right? And so up in Minnesota, a lot of my painting friends will recommend a flat finish. And so, but here we are in Indiana, we have more sun, we have a lot of rain, we have a lot of more humidity because of the fields and all of that. So putting a satin finish helps wick water away and helps with the sun not burning the color out of the paint.
Because it reflects it back and stuff.
So you go to these new builds that are around our area, the house is 3 years old. I'm still living in a new home in my head, right? The exterior is trashed because it has a dark brown, dark gray, dark black, dark blue color, and they used a builder grade product. They used a cheap product and the sun has already burned all of the color, so it's fading.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the exterior and that, temperature matters, right? I
Mhm.
just had a house directly across from me when they're finishing the last house in the neighborhood. And they were out there, and I swear it was 20 degrees,
Mhm.
painting the exterior of the house.
No warranty, they don't care.
I'm like, when we look at this
Wait till that
in 2
bubbles up.
years, yeah, they're never gonna know as the owner that that was painted in December, but I do. And it looked like, I mean, I don't know, they were freezing, and they're still
Yeah.
out there painting, but they had to finish the house.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things you never know what you're
And-
gonna deal with
That's
too.
part of the reason why we work with builders that understand that and are understanding and that, so
If
it
you're on
has
the
to be,
timeline and the bottom dollar and actually do something good for the client,
Yeah. it has to be 35 degrees for at least a 36 hour window of time. So if you can, if it's 50 today, which is a beautiful day, but tonight it's 28,
68 yesterday.
68 yesterday. So, but if it's nighttime, it's 28,
Can't do it.
we're not painting
Won't
today.
hear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you paint an exterior?
Yeah.
Someone paint it?
Again, so with the sheen, it depends on the product, right? Or with the scrubbability, washability. So your higher grade products will last you more, like 10 to 12 years, depending. And then like we use a lot of Emerald or a lot of Permanizer from PPG and Sherwin-Williams, right? Those are the top tier products. We do a 3-year warranty on those. And so those will last you 10 to 12 years before you have to really start thinking, I need to paint this again. There are spaces on a home that get a lot of problems, right? A lot of the downspout has just water gushing out of it. That's going to create issues, right? If it's not deflecting well, or the south side of the house gets a ton of sun, that might start showing a
Yeah,
little
the
bit
sun
sooner.
too, yeah, you
If you
can
get
see a
a
difference.
really dark color, that might start showing a little earlier.
It's one of the main things people overlook is painting the exterior of their house. Like mine needs it at 10 years right now because I can start to see it. And like I don't want to do it. Like, oh, great, I'm gonna paint all my freaking trim. Because it's not cheap. Because you got to get up on ladders.
And depending on the wood, like what is the surface? So concrete board will hold longer than your wood trim.
Mhm.
So your wood trim's shrinking and expanding. Your concrete board doesn't do that. The joints in your caulking, those are so undervalued. How important that is.
Oh, it's massive.
The caulking allows if it's cracked out or whatever, and you're allowing water to get in there, you have a problem.
So you guys mainly do interior though, correct?
No.
But that's probably like what you do the most of?
No,
you
we
think?
probably, last year, actually, here's true data. Last year we did 51% interior, ironically enough, but the other percent was
Exterior.
49% exterior. So
That's interesting.
I would have said to you, because here we have 7 or 8 months of exterior season, right?
Yeah.
So more than half of the year, but during that time. And so I would say we don't try to emphasize one over the other. We want to keep our guys busy.
You guys paint.
And serve our clients. We paint, yeah.
So this is a weird one because I don't want to throw this out here, and I haven't. Man, my neighbor had it at my last house. So we're talking like 12 years ago. I never see anybody with it anymore. I don't listen to the radio anymore because I'm just constantly doing phone calls. What do you think of the Rhino Shield stuff? Because that's like just permanently encapsulating you.
Yeah.
It's like a polymer type.
Yeah,
of
so
thing.
I'm
not super educated on it.
No,
I'm
you're
just
good.
curious.
And I know you're not asking me to do this, but I want to say I'm not a fan of talking bad about, and I'm not saying you're asking me to do that.
Yeah, I'm not. This is a curiosity
But
statement.
this is the only example I have, and maybe you have one. But probably in 17, 18, I went on a house to look at it, to estimate it, and here's the siding's coming down, and then there's a wooden 2x12 roughly of cedar, and I start poking around, and you could kind of see the resemblance of rotten. Next thing you know, and the previous people that painted this were Rhino Shield. It had a Rhino Shield product on it, and so then there was stone underneath that ledge, right? So you have a stone ledge and whatever. Well, that Rhino Shield was such a coating on there that it had the moisture that had gotten trapped on that board had rotten the board out, and you didn't have a clue. And so the coating can keep things from breathing, keep wood from breathing, if that makes sense. And so
Because moisture can't get out.
Yeah. And so it's dry rotting underneath there. And so, like, where do you put coatings? You put coatings on a concrete floor. an epoxy coating, right? Those are concrete floors but even still, if you have moisture coming up from the underside of concrete because they didn't put the vapor barrier down before they poured the floor,
Still an issue.
then you got water that's pushing. It's pushing, and water is the number one issue on a home. You gotta keep that balanced. And you're super dry. I had a client the other day call me and say, hey, I got this crack in my ceiling, and I'm like, well, it's the driest time of the year, and your house has shifted, and you live in a production home, and it's, the framing is probably, and so the rafters probably have lifted, and so your ceiling joint is cracked. I mean, that wasn't us. We can only do so much.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff out
We
there.
could go on and on
We
and
could.
on.
So,
One more time, I'm gonna ask what the color of the year for everybody to know. Did you pull that out?
Well, so for Sherwin-Williams this year, it was just a color capsule, so it was about 12 different colors. But their color of the year last year was Upward, which is this blue one here.
That's a cute name. Upward.
This one on top?
Yeah, the very top
So
one.
the very, very
So
light one.
that was
So everybody
2024.
who's listening.
And then I believe the Evergreen Fog was 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might have been one in between.
Maybe.
But yeah, the Evergreen Fog, the green one, that was 2 or 3 years ago.
This one right here, right?
Right here.
Or this one?
When are we ever
I
going
love
to get
that
to a
color.
brown and red as the color of the year? You think that'll
Please,
ever
we
happen?
already have those. I don't like them. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for
It's been
coming
fun.
on.
We love talking color.
Still, what is today's color of the year?
It's just a
capsule.
capsule.
Oh,
It's such a driving. It's
Okay.
driving me nuts because it's not a color.
Yep.
It's multitude
Well,
colors.
that's kind of nice. I mean, I don't want to be, I want to know if I have choices all the time. I'm that type of person.
Sure.
But thanks so much for coming on. Tell them how to get a hold of you and
Yeah. So you can call us at the office at 317-385-1951. You can get on our website at heritagepainting.info. And shoot us a message, get on any of our social channels. You can reach out to Shelly and Kyle, and they will direct us to you.
ask for Emily if you're stuck on a color.
Yep.
That's
I'm here to
awesome.
help.
I'm glad. That's so awesome.
Preferred vendors too. For
Yeah.
FC Tucker.
Absolutely, yeah.
Proud.
Winning awards as you
We
just
have,
found out.
I don't
Just won an
know.
award and you're like, I didn't even know we were up for this thing.
Yeah, the Illinois building downtown, we won some awards with the PCA, which is a Painting Contractors Association, so that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think Emily's invaluable. I'm curious, like you help people make difficult decisions. Like, do you freelance? Like the biggest problem I have every single day is what are we gonna eat for dinner? And like my household could usually need some help with some
She
decision
said
making.
color, not the color of the
No.
food.
That's selling her short. She is good at leading people in the right direction.
Yes,
Based on like
Tacos.
what they are done.
Mexican every time.
every time, it just wins.
Yeah, you're
Barbecue.
hired. You're hired. you know?
Barbecue.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I just think it's understated. Like how big of a value having somebody who's educated in this and sees trends and sees what other people are doing and be like, hey, like without arguing, because like my wife and I are like, hey, which color? Like it's gonna be an argument. You can be like, hey, but this is what I'm seeing. This is where it's going. Based on what you're saying, this will actually do better with that. Because we're novices, we don't know what the heck we're doing. Even though we both want to act like we're experts, like we don't know shit, right? And so to have you come in and be able to help guide us in an agreeable way, I think.
Agreeable gray.
No way.
Agreeable way. I think it's a huge thing, man. I really think it is. I think it's a service that most people don't provide. I really do. I think
Glad to
it's
help.
Yep.
Alright.
So, all right, let's do the stats real quick.
All right, go for it.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. Inventory's going down. I'm seeing people out. I told you I went and showed houses on Sunday. Every single house I was in was double booked with another agent. And it didn't matter how long it had been on the market. Anything from 3 days to 110 days, I was in a double booked showing. I don't know if it's because it was warm last week. I don't know if it's because we're trending that way.
Got rid
I
of
don't
the
know.
snow, everything. I saw the same thing.
Right. It's too soon for me to like actually kind of like call it any kind of thing. It's encouraging. There's also discouraging things. You know, one of the houses I looked at was the best house at $399 that I've seen in 9 months, hands down. And it had 18 showings, 4 offers. You know, So a good house is still gonna be
That's
competitive.
what we said, the good houses go on a weekend and the other one's set for 60, so
Yeah, I mean-
there's two markets.
I could almost argue when I looked at this house, I thought it was 10,000 underpriced because I thought it was that good of a house, if not 15, and like,
We don't know where it ended up though.
promise over list.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, it was just priced well. It was just really, really well done. So, anyways, in Fishers, I had 25 go on the market, anywhere from like 304 to 1.15. 10 of them pinned, so 15 are still active, but 33 freaking pinned
Wow.
last week. I mean, it's
Wow.
massive. So I have 125 on the market. Average days is 27. Median is 12, which is super freaking low. Noblesville, I had 17 go on the market. Only 4 pinned there, so 13 are still active, but 26 total. So negative inventory there. Anywhere from 129, I think 124, I can't read my handwriting, to 775. So, I mean, think about that. Like a 124 house, that's a good house. Like, that has been a struggle in the past couple of years for like really good affordable housing that is actually a good product. So it's encouraging to see things like that. The average days on market is 90, or there's 92 on market, which is super low for Noblesville, by the way. Average days on market is 50, median is 40. So it's really weird. Like, I've got stuff in here that is like kind of putting the numbers off. I saw one that had been on the market 231 days. It's really weird for Fishers to be at 12 median and Noblesville to be at 40 median. Those are going to sync up at some point. And I think it's going to go, like, Noblesville will go down significantly as we run through all this kind of stagnant inventory that we have out there.
I agree. Carmel, we had 19 hit the market, so very low. 6 of those pended, total of 11 pended. So the past 7 days, the average days on market was 25, so that's getting really low for that past 7 days. Currently, we have 109 active, and in the past 30 days, 61 homes sold, with the average days on market 27 and the median 6. We were at like 35 and 12, so that past 30 days has come down. And so with past 7 days, median of 5, and the past 30 days, median of 6, we're going to see some competition coming up, and we didn't know what the spring market was going to be like, and it looks like it's going to get competitive. And the way we're looking at what's happening now, only being the first week of February, how many houses are going to start to hit the market? What I'm seeing is they're not. Westfield 39 hit the market, 10 of those pended, but a total of 37 pended. But if you look at that on the resale part of that, only 17 hit the market. So we always have that competition of resale versus new builds. 174 are currently active in Westfield. 102 of them are new builds. So you only have 72 resale. And in the past 30 days, 89 hit the market with an average of 47 and a median of 28. So 7 days and 30 days are both median of 28. So Westfield's a little slower, but that's including all those new builds that are out there. And then in Zionsville, 7 hit the market. 3 of those actually pended, but a total of 4 pended. Their average days on market in the 7 days was 9, median 4. And there's 45 currently active. Only 17 sold in the past 30 days. It was an average day of 43 and a median of 12, so their market's speeding up as well. The only thing I'm looking at, and you didn't talk about, is the list to sale ratio is still hovering around 98%, and I think that's going to go back up as we see the multiple offers continue to start. Those aren't being shown up in these past 30 days or all because that was our stagnant inventory.
One of the, as we were talking about it, you know, like my thought is if you're a buyer, your leverage is leaving.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
be out there now because you have leverage on stale houses right now. That's going to disappear.
Yeah.
That's going to disappear.
Well, and with the spring market, we've always said we don't know if we were in a spring market, if that's anything anymore, but I think this is a spring market. It's the first time we're starting to see seasons back. And if the houses are going to be hitting the market, so are the buyers. Because I know a lot of buyers are saying, I just want to wait and see new houses come on the market. So the competition, I think, is going to be very strong this spring, if I can just tell by what we're looking at for this past couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Which is a big swing from what it has been.
Mm-hmm. But people who don't think that, I'm just going to say this because I've had a couple of conversations with people just starting to come into the market saying that they don't want to be in the market because they don't want to pay list and they don't think they should have to because it's not a seller's market. And those buyers are gonna have a very hard time.
They were right 3 months ago.
Right, but the ones, there's starting to be kind of that attitude of, that we don't need to do full list anymore. And it's right back, it's come back. You said 4 offers, I've seen, multiple offers on the past 2 offers I made. We won both of them, but they were multiple offers. So, that, I think we're gonna back to 100. It was an average of 100 in Carmel for the past 30 days.
Past 2 houses I sold, both had multiple offers, both sold over list, and one of them had been sitting on the market.
I've always said it, everybody who thinks it's been sitting on the market for 60 or 70 days can come in and lowball, but everybody's sitting there waiting to see, oh, an offer came in, and then here comes all 5 of them that have been sitting to watch.
Yeah.
And it goes above list automatically.
Just write an offer, man.
Write your offer,
them
make it
count,
strong,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's all of them, right?
Yep, I'm done.
All right, so you're getting married. You're gonna be gone for like 2
I'll be
weeks.
gone next couple weeks.
Man, so I don't know if we'll do it or not, because I don't think everyone wants to get on here and
We're
just
getting
listen
married
to
on
me.
Valentine's Day next week,
That's awesome.
In 2 weeks.
Okay,
next Friday.
that's like super romantic, and at the same time, as a dude, I'm kind of like, nailed it. I will never forget my anniversary ever.
That's what he said, because I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and remember it.
Dude, my father-in-law got married on his birthday. I was like, that's, yeah, he always knows when it's coming up. So, anyway, so again, for anybody who wants to get a hold of you guys, let's put it out there one more time for
Yeah.
Jason and Emily.
Yeah, Jason Emily, Heritage Painting, 317-385-1951, or heritagepainting.info.
And he's painted for me a few times. I highly recommend them.
Yeah.
And you do get awards from Tucker all the time. So.
All the
Yeah.
time.
And that's coming up in about a week.
Is it?
Yeah, the FC Tucker Vendor Member Awards.
Very nice, very nice.
I'll expect you to come back on for your, before your honeymoon. Come
Just
the
come back to
awards.
that?
Come back just for that.
Yeah.
Can you
You're gonna be
FaceTime me?
presenting. Yeah.
If I FaceTime you, don't answer.
yeah. Let's think this one out for a
Well,
second.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group at FC Tucker. You can call me at my cell phone, 317-201-2601.
And I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122. Enjoy the nice weather until it's 29 degrees in 2 days. So.
Bye.